Hello and welcome. I'm Gary Shipe. Thanks for listening in as we continue to talk with leaders in our community. Joining me today are Judy Hoff, the CEO and founder of the Hoff Foundation, and Laurie Hardy, an enthusiastic volunteer with the Hoff Foundation. And under the Hoff Foundation, a number of charitable organizations, particularly one I wanted to talk about is Queen, It's a New Day, because Judy, I had you in a few years ago. We talked about this, so welcome back. I really want to catch up and talk about more of these. I'm so glad to have the both of you in today to talk about this. There's a lot of places we could start, but let's go big picture, I guess, to talk about just the basics of you're a nonprofit foundation, you serve women and, all sorts of different aspects here in the Seattle. Well, let's start there. Seattle, King County, Snohomish County. Let's start with real basics, Judy.
We're located in Snohomish County, but Queen, It's a New Day itself, we serve people all the way from Bellingham to Tacoma. So that is a widespread part of our work. But in general, on a daily basis, the Hoff Foundation is established in Snohomish County.
And you serve women who've, I don't know, there's no real way to narrow it down exactly, because women who've been on, finding life just tough, maybe scratching out their lives in rough and tough ways, and in a number of different situations, maybe through domestic abuse, homelessness, addiction, and I don't know. I guess I just want to start with there aren't really enough services, are there, for women, and maybe women with children as a way to get them the help they need. That's kind of why you've stepped in and put this all together?
Yes, it is. Esther's Place was established 3 years ago now. And it was established because I kept noticing all the homeless women and children literally living on the streets. And there was not, at that time, anything that could take care of their meals, connect them with resources. They were literally sleeping on corners, sleeping in buildings, parking lots. And so the vision came for a day center that will provide resources so they have a place to come in, rest a while, eat, have their breakfast, have their lunch, and connect with the community. And most homeless women are not aware of all the resources that are available because they would have to go from building to building to find them. So what we did was we started a facility, and then we invited the resources inside the facility along with the women and children. And we serve currently over 1,400 breakfast and lunches a month.
Wow.
And so the resources that we have pulled in, and it's been organic. Laurie and I, we just started this, and you chime in anytime, Laurie. But
we just painted the walls and opened the doors and asked people to come volunteer. People brought crock pots. In the beginning, we'd have about 10 women, and they really didn't know what was available, and they didn't feel worthy. And as you know, and it's all over the news, the epidemic, the opioid epidemic. And these are people that had careers. Some of them were nurses, teachers. They go get surgery. Something happens.
That's right.
They get put on these drugs and they get addicted. They have no idea they have this addictive personality, and they're not taught. So then when the drugs are pulled, some nice friend offers them heroin.
Then they're in a desperate situation that they didn't even know they were desperate.
Exactly. And they lose one after another, their kids, their car, their house. They end up on the streets. And at that point, they don't care. They care somewhere in them, but when the drug is in them, they just don't care. And so those are a lot of the women that we're dealing with, helping them to try to, recognize they need help, and to try and help them figure out how they can not only get housing, but change whatever the core is that led them to feel so unworthy. And
so some of the resources with that said, Laurie, is we have invited in Compass Health, which is a mental health organization that has programs for the poor. And they come in one day a week, and they sit and they offer services, and they help ladies sign up for that program so that they could begin that mental health journey. And then we're also partners with other drug and alcohol rehabs, such as Evergreen Recovery. And if a lady is very sincere about change, we can move more rapidly to help her. We partner now with Mercy Watch, and Mercy Watch is going to be coming in starting next week and offering doctor care and nurse care right there, shots, doing treatments on their feet from being homeless and ill for so long, and sores from shooting up needles. And
That is a big deal, especially in the winter. Their feet, we try to offer new socks almost every day if they need them.
and if we have them.
That's a good point that a lot of people hear about. Oh, yes, there was a sock drive at whatever philanthropic organization there is. But street people go through those so fast, you don't really stop and think that one pair of warm socks doesn't last very long at all.
Especially in Washington in the winter. Yeah.
So let me go back to then some details on Esther's Place. Location, how can people support it? It's in Everett?
Yes, it's in Everett. We are across the street from the courthouse. And,
right
and
there.
We're right there where the police station is and the courthouse and the Human Services Department. And so we're in partnership with all of them. What we really need are things like socks.
Yeah, so
we need gloves, we need hats, and you know what happens is and even their backpacks. If they lay them down, they're gone.
Yeah.
It's dog eat dog out there.
Yeah.
They cannot lay down their gloves on a counter, or they will not have gloves after they come back to pick them up. So how they can reach us is they could go to our website and see the address. And our hours at Esther's Place is Monday through Friday from 9 to 1:30. And they can connect with me. You're going to give them my email.
Let's do that now while people have go get their pencil, folks, because we're going to give out a few things. So online is a great way to connect and find a lot of these things we're talking about. HoffFoundation.org is kind of the overarching group you've got going under this. Esther's Place is there. Queen It's a New Day is listed there. HoffFoundation.org, at one point, 3 F's in a row. I know it looks funny when you start typing, but and people can email you direct. You don't mind giving out your email, do you, Judy?
No.
That would be just Judy at HoffFoundation.org.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct. Yes.
And so donating not only to charitable organizations money, but real things, especially if you're in the Snohomish County area and say, I go by there once in a while. I can bring some warm things for this winter, more than once, maybe every week. Say, when I go shopping, I'll pick up one more pair of nice warm socks for someone to wear this winter and drop them off every week. It's not that hard, really, if people make new habits, right? I mean, that's what volunteering is kind of like, isn't it, Laurie? That you just decide, this is worthwhile, I'm going to do it, and then I keep doing it over and over. What do you find as you volunteer and meet these people, the change must come over you, not them, I'm guessing. It comes over them, but talk about from a volunteer's perspective what goes on.
That's so great, Gary, because so many times I would say 100% of the times our volunteers say, I'm getting more out of this, whether it's Esther's, whether it's Queen. And they're so blown away because these women are so grateful. And sometimes our volunteers come in and they'll talk with a woman for an hour or two and they'll say, she's such a great volunteer. And we're like, no, she's homeless. She's living in her car with 2 teenage boys. They have no idea. And that is the beauty of especially this year, this season of giving, is people will step out and volunteer and then they see how it makes them feel. And so it's making you feel good and we have a blast. So all of our volunteers, every day is a great day. We have days where we cry because it is it's hard, but we also try to make it a really fun environment so they can just relax, enjoy, and not have to worry about the pressures for one day, one meal.
Right now, in fact, we have Christmas Crafts Week.
Yeah.
So people have been dropping off crafts and there's projects for them to make. And we're gathering Christmas stockings for the women to put their names on. We're preparing them for a beautiful Christmas. And when they're with us, there is more laughter than there is tears.
Yes.
There really is. This is a place they can not think about out there, but they can think, and they really are loved. I mean, all of the volunteers are there because they want to be there.
Right.
And the food is great. And another thing that people can do to support Esther's Place is bring us food. It is ongoing. When you think of serving 1,400 women and children breakfast and lunch, dropping off extra bagels is really a big deal to us.
That must, I don't think that must be a lot of, I don't know if it's canned spaghetti or chili that gets opened and served on places, things like that are just any kinds of food, and right?
You know,
Right.
Gary, it's been so amazing because since we started, people have brought complete meals.
Yep.
And there hasn't been one day that we've had to, pull from our soup resources. People always, and one day, this woman at the last minute, her mom got sick. She called. It was 11, almost lunchtime. She said, I can't make it. I'm not bringing food. And I'm not kidding you. Like 2 minutes later, this woman said, I made too many enchiladas or those, whatever, those wrapped up tamales, hundreds. Can I bring them in? I'm like, wow. And the more people that know, then they're thinking about it. So like you say, they're at the store, they think about it. They're maybe work at a restaurant and they're like, hey, look at all this extra food. So that starts that creative process where everybody collaborates to try to help and give them a hand up rather than a handout.
What an excellent way to phrase that. Yeah, and talk about that. I guess I want to talk big picture too. Judy, you do this in partnership with, churches, businesses, transitional housing programs, shelters, rehab centers. You got to get a lot of people talking to each other and working and cooperating. How in the world does that work? I mean, the nuts and bolts of maybe you put a lot of miles on your shoes yourself.
I do. I'm
because it sounds kind of overwhelming if you talk about all the different aspects of getting people their lives back together, because they break in so many different ways.
Right, and part of that is the resources. For example, for Esther's Place, the big picture is they come in and they start living life. So they have a mental health counselor and they have a recovery coach and they have a place to live. We also have housing. And so our housing is called New Creation Communities, and we started with one house. And the house is very unique in the way that it's a wraparound service house. It's not transitional house, it's a program house. So meaning that everyone inside the house is equal. There's not a manager inside the house. Everyone is equal, and there's reasons for this. And along with that, they have a mentor, a lady that has been in long-term recovery, a very successful businesswoman that is simply volunteering like Laurie has. And she's giving back, helping those ladies, achieve who they are and what they're here to do as well. And so they connect with her on a regular basis. We have Access to Recovery as one of our programs. It's a state-funded program, which means every woman that lives in our house, she can be in Access to Recovery, which gives her the recovery coach. And then I teach life skills, because I know you cannot take someone from homelessness and put them in a home without working on the inside out. All of the lack of self-development that you have when you've been living on the streets, or you come from the streets, you come from a background that, the families have been on the streets. So we teach simple things like, how do I deal with grief and loss? How do I forgive? I teach stress management. I teach the tools that people need to get clean, to stay clean, and then move forward. So our women's house is really tight with the opportunity for them to make a complete, when they come in, and go out differently from the inside out. And they could live there up to 2 years. And so we're in partnership with the Sheriff's Department. We're in partnership with prisons. We're in partnership with social workers. We're in partnership with all of the drug and rehabs. They calling. Do you have an opening? Do you have an opening? We're simply the only ladies' house in Snohomish County that has a program, and there's no men allowed.
Right.
Because most houses like that, they're co-ed and they're transitional. And one thing that people may find positive or negative, and they have that opportunity to, but if they slip and they use drug once, they leave now and they never come back. Now, what that has created is we have only lost one person since we opened, and we didn't really lose her because she came back around. Tell them about that lady that came back around and she went to Queen again. Tina?
Oh, yeah. So this one girl came in. She sat in her car for about a week before she would come into Esther's. And then she came in and sat in the back of the room. And so we just tried to talk to her, but we're not pushy. We just let you be there. And so finally she decided she liked us. And she said, I think I need to go to a mental institution. I said, I think you need recovery. And so she agreed to go get rehab, and she did really well. But then she messed up and she fell. And so, of course, she was out of the house. So that put her back on the streets. And unfortunately, the best way for them to get help is to OD, end up in the hospital or jail.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that part of addiction too many
Exactly.
times.
And so that's what she did. She OD'd. She was outside. And that day, I parked on a different side of the building and I saw her in her car and she was going to go drive. I knew something was wrong. Judy pulled up right at the same time. And I'm like, we got to get her in.
Right.
Because she was set on just going.
She was
going to go somewhere and she would have died.
Yeah.
So we got her in. We called 911. They came in.
Yes.
The medics were great. They took her into the hospital and then we were able to find her a room and she went in for a longer term of recovery. I believe they need more than 30 days.
Oh, yes.
So she went in for 60, ended up staying 90, and now she's doing amazing. She has a social worker, and she's getting into her own place. Did you know this? Here
Yes.
in a couple days. And
she went to Queen It's a New Day.
and she got to go to Queen It's a New Day, and that changed her life. She said, I felt so special and pampered. And actually, our Kate Daniels was her Queen's
coach.
lady.
Oh, excellent. Another
Yeah.
member here at the Hubbard Radio.
Yes.
Family. So we are talking this morning with Laurie Hardy, a volunteer, and Judy Hoff from the Hoff Foundation. And Queen, It's a New Day. Let's talk about that aspect of what the Hoff Foundation does. Well, let me, one more time, hofffoundation.org, folks, online. I encourage you to look it up, hofffoundation.org. Queen, It's a New Day, a wonderful part of what you do to help women who are like reaching up and just about there. I mean, if you can describe that, it's really a beautiful thing. I don't know if it can be described on radio.
Yeah, well.
That's why I want people to go to the website and see this video and the story of how this transformed. It is transformative.
It's transforming, and it's called a makeover from the inside out.
Yeah.
So, when you can put on a face and you can get your hair done and put on a new set of clothes, but you have to change your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-value, your ability to believe that you have worth and that you can have a better life, that you need not go back to whatever it is you came from. Some of the women are sex trafficked that have come through Queen It's a New Day. Most of them. They've come out of addiction. They've come out of abuse. They've come off the streets, although they have to be at least in a shelter to come to Queen It's a New Day to experience that amazing day. And I'm just going to do a quick rundown, jump in anytime you want.
It's going to have to be quick because it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So I'm just thinking, okay, so we have been doing this this is 17 years. And we have helped thousands of women change their lives. We have had fabulous speakers from all over the world that come and speak. And these ladies are chosen and they receive back to work clothes, hair, nails, makeup, pedicures, manicures. But you ask them what was their favoriteest part of Queen It's a New Day, and it was their Queen's Lady. It was the person that talked to them and mentored them and stayed with them all day long. And then they have their gourmet lunch, and then they have a gala at night. They walk across the stage, and the big deal is, the vision I was given is, hello, my name is Judy, and I am a queen, and it is a new day. And every woman gets a crown, and she gets a rose, and she cries. And it's a pivotal place to where they literally let go of their past.
It is, and it's amazing how hard it is for some of those women to actually say those words. She almost has to say, I am.
Every time.
Yeah, and I am a queen. And it's a new day. It's like it's so hard for some of them. And even some of them have had to have somebody escort them up because they can hardly stand because they've never been treated with such grace. And we have ushers that come in for these women. They're dressed in suits, and they're a lot of them are terrified of men. That's why we don't let men in esters, because they've had experiences. So they just see a man. They don't know anything about him, and they're, a little freaked out. So they have this man in a nice suit escorting them. And, they're learning in that moment, in that day, that there are people you can trust, that there are people, there is a way out.
Wow.
Yes. And then we teach life skills after the big makeover. The next day or that day is our life skills classes. And then we have professionals come in and speak. And they talk about the areas of their expertise that will help the queens walk in a new way of life, to realize that, I am beautiful, I am smart, I can do this. And what I've been told in the past isn't the truth, that there is a new day and there is hope for me. And there's one thing that I just have to throw way back to the beginning is, to me, the most striking experience for the queens is when they get out of the limos and we have a red carpet laid out for them, and we have the men coming and they allow them to take their arm, and they walk them down the red carpet, and all the volunteers are clapping. And at that point, many of the ladies just start to cry because they've never had any value ever in their lives. So it is the most beautiful, life-changing experience, I think, for the volunteers as well as for the queens.
And you have 5 areas, say the 5, because it's not, like you said, it's not just the looks, it's the inside. So your 5 areas. So
it's spiritual. I think everyone needs to connect with their own spirituality.
Yeah.
It's mentally. We need to line our minds and our thoughts up with the value that we've been born with. And it's emotional. We can't live by our emotions. How we feel is how we feel, but we do not want to live by those emotions. And it's physical. How do I take care of myself? How do I eat right? How do I dress best for my body structure? How do I wear makeup? And then it's financial, and that's job training. And we cover all of those areas in every aspect of our ministry, basically, but Queen It's a New Day specifically.
Wow, this is such a big deal, changing people's lives like this. We're talking with Judy Hoff about the Hoff Foundation, and Laurie Hardy is here, a volunteer there. I guess I want to, on all the things you do and touching people's lives, it sounds like surrounding them with people or letting them know people care about you, you're valued, is kind of a theme that runs through all the people that come into Esther's and have to know you're valued. You come on in. I mean, is that too simple for me to say? But
no, it's really a fact.
Yeah.
And the fact is that they're isolated. And in isolation causes depression, and you lose hope. So our whole goal is to take them forward towards self-acceptance and realizing that what they think of themselves is not true.
When new volunteers will come in, sometimes I'll say to the ladies, because sometimes we'll just involve them all in a situation, and so I'll say, what do you guys love about Esther's? And you would think maybe it's the food, or you would think maybe it's that we give them toiletries or socks, and they say, because you love us, we love being here. Because they feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel they're not invisible for the time they're there. They feel valued.
And they come back for that same reason. And even though this is something else I see, is then their lives move on. They get off of drugs and alcohol. They get into a home. Maybe I can think of several that have gone to college. They come back and they sit at the table with the homeless.
You know, we're going to run out of time before too long. This is going by so quickly. A couple aspects I want to talk. Maybe we can only hit one. Either the opportunity for people to volunteer, and Laurie's talked about how enriching it is, but maybe what some of those roles could be for folks. Or I also, New Day Cafe is a part of this that we haven't really touched on, and some of the skills you can offer people. So I don't know, we'll never cover them both in a couple of seconds, but
well, I tell you what, New Day Cafe, right now we have 3 ladies that are being trained in catering. And we have Chef Andy Elf is the head of that part of our organization.
A professional chef here
professional
in the
chef.
Northwest. Yeah.
Yes.
6-time award-winning, national award-winning Chef Andy.
And Chef Andy loves teamwork, and he loves to build people up. So he came to me and he said, this is what I want to do with you. So we have Chef Andy as the head, but now we have another person, Michelle Lejeune, who's been a caterer for 30 years, owned restaurants, and she is doing weekly, listen to this, you're going to love this. She is doing job training in catering, and she is teaching the ladies with the food that they make for Esther's Place how to cater. So literally, these ladies are learning how to become caterers, and then they're learning how to serve catered food in Esther's Place. So we're feeding the homeless.
So not just book learning, they're doing it.
Hands-on.
They're hands-on. And then the cool thing is, too, is they can have jobs. Chef Andy and Michelle, they both have positions to where they can connect women with employment. So several of those women are in our housing as well.
So this is a program where some of the women you run across in a number of these business, I'll say businesses, because you run your organization like a business, are selected and can really get taught real business skills in the culinary arts.
Yes.
And does it take like a year, 2 years? I mean,
it's a 6-month program, and people can continue moving forward. But what I've seen is they get jobs prior to moving forward. I remember Chef Andy. He had a gal, at the Infinity Arena. She got hired for there, and he hires them for catering events, and Michelle Lejeune is now making handmade chocolates, and she's hiring for that.
So these are that's a real skill
it's
that
real.
can turn into a real life going forward.
One of the girls who came in off the street into Esther's, she took the culinary training. She did the Queen It's a New Day. She came and volunteered at Esther's every day, and she knew those women because she was there. She ended up with a managing job in a restaurant because of her training, and she kept it. She's been clean and sober 3 years.
Yeah, she's
now.
moved on.
3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
I love those kind of stories. It's the reason I had you here, Judy, because this is real life changing things going on in the Northwest. People need to support this. So I encourage people to go, and if they can't volunteer, find out other ways to donate, to help support. So it's hofffoundation.org, right? All spelled out. Hoff Foundation, 2 F's in Hoff, and there's one in Foundation.
Yeah.
So 3 F's in a row for a second there,
And
but hofffoundation.org, and find out more about it and get involved. And if not there's others just like it, maybe in different parts of the area, the Northwest, to change lives. It really does. These stories you're telling us are real stories and changing real lives.
Yes,
before we run out of time, anything we forgot to say or last second thing?
We are a 501c3, so if you donate, you do get a receipt and a
good.
tax write-off.
Yeah. A big picture
And,
thing coming up, anything like that you want to?
Yeah, the next one is in April.
Yes.
The Queen.
Queen, It's a New Day. Go ahead.
The next one's in April. So if people would like to volunteer, it's a wonderful experience. Go online, sign up, and somebody will contact you. And just a quickie, our last big event that we had, one of our girls who was a nurse and had gotten surgery ended up on the streets. Got off the streets, went through our ATR program, and came to Queen It's a New Day. But before that, she had brain surgery. She had an aneurysm. And so she came to the Queen It's a New Day. She had a fabulous time. She connected with some people. She sat right next to someone who had beat her up on the streets. And they looked at each other, and it was one of those moments.
Yes.
And they chose to forgive and to
right
go
there.
through the day.
I get the chills.
And she emailed me later and said she'd been wanting to call her daughters. Her daughters are teens now, and she, of course, walked away from them. And she said that gave her the confidence and the courage, and she contacted her daughters. And it was goosebumps.
Me
It was
too.
a goosebumps moment.
all over.
That is
Yes.
beautiful, Laurie. Thank you so much. That's so nice. I love hearing stories like that. You guys really are changing. I mean, there's a lot of pain out there in the streets,
Yes.
but there is a lot of potential in
Yes.
saving
There's
some
a lot
lives.
of hope. There's a
Yes.
lot of hope
And they
for
reach
people.
back and they grab another person once they get well. They bring another one with them.
Wonderful. Oh, guys, thank you so much for being here. We have been talking today with Laurie Hardy and Judy Hoff about the Hoff Foundation, Queen It's a New Day, Esther's Place, the New Day Cafe. Look it up online, hofffoundation.org. Laurie and Judy, thank you so much for coming in today and sharing, and really a bigger thanks for all that the Hoff Foundation is doing for women in need in our community.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
I am Gary Shipe. Thanks for listening today. We hope you've learned something new. Join us again next week as we continue to talk with people that are making a difference in our community.